Hello students, I hope you all are fine and safe at home. Now, I like to share some information with regard to the topic. We all face challenges, right? But how many of us don't give up and use those challenges to our advantage? Those who do become an inspiration for all. Fortunately, the world has a lot of examples of such inspiring souls. So today we are going to see such an inspiring soul in our lesson. This topic is related to every citizen's innate feelings and love towards their nation. I hope you guys will have some ideas about the topic. Fine students, now let's discuss about that innate feelings. Students, what do you mean by innate feeling? By birth, inborn or inbuilt quality that you have. For example, you all people show love and affection towards your mom. Isn't it? That happens by nature. The same love and affection shown towards your nation is known as patriotism. Yes, students, this lesson is obviously about patriotism. Before we get into the lesson, let me tell you about the patriotic event happened in ancient India. Now, I would like to share some information about a well-renowned and great personality. Her name was Jhansi Rani. She was born at Bittur on 19th November 1828. Students, now let me tell you some unknown facts about Jhansi Rani. She was an Indian queen and warrior. She was a clever horse rider. After her marriage, she was named as Rani Lakshmi Bai. She was the first queen who introduced Indian women to the war field. So, being an Indian, we must feel proud. Students, today we are going to see Unit 3 Supplementary Reader, the Story of Mulan. Students, now let me give some introduction. This is the classic story of Mulan based on the legend of Hua Mulan. Students, what do you mean by classic story? Something that has been considered to be the best. Then, what do you mean by legend? Legend means a famous or important person. Hua Mulan was a Chinese warrior woman who lived during the northern and southern dynasties. Students, who is a warrior? A person who fights and battle with courage and skill. What is meant by dynasties? A family of rulers who rule over a country for a long period of time. So, Hua Mulan was a Chinese warrior woman who lived during the northern and southern dynasties, which was between 420 to 589 CE. Her story was told through the ballad of Mulan. So students, what is mean by ballad? Ballad means a poem or song. This story was already described in the form of ballad. What do you mean by ballad? Ballad means a poem or song. In the ballad, Hua Mulan was disguised as a man. Here, disguised means to change the usual appearance. She takes her aged father's place in the army. Hua Mulan was an inspiring woman for generations of young people in her own country of China. She has been well trained in Kung Fu. Many people have a misconception that Chinese Kung Fu is about killing and fighting. Students, it is actually based on Chinese philosophy and is about improving wisdom and intelligence. The 5 traditional animals styles of Shaolin Kung Fu are the dragon, the leopard, the snake, the tiger and the crane. Once again I repeat, the dragon, the leopard, the snake, the tiger and the crane. The union of 5 animal forms clearly display the efficacy of both hard and soft movements. Here, efficacy is efficiency or effectiveness. So, it clearly shows its efficiency of both hard and soft movements, that is, both internal and external energy. This form of Chinese martial arts was known as Shaolin Kung Fu. Here, Shaolin is the name of the temple from where the Kung Fu was developed. Students, now let me give you the meaning of Kung Fu. Kung meaning is energy and Fu meaning is time. So together we call it as Kung Fu. It is a form of Chinese martial arts. Here, what do you mean by martial arts? It is a form of self-defense or attack which was chiefly originated in Japan, Korea and China. The man credited with introducing martial arts to China was said to be an Indian monk known as the great legendary Bodhidharma. He was the first Indian Buddhist monk to travel to southern China, but we peoples, that is our Indian people, did not recognize his talents, but the Chinese people has acknowledged his talents and worshipped him as a god. With this, I end the introduction. Students, now let me read the first paragraph and later I will give you the explanation. Many years ago, China was in the middle of a great war. The emperor said that one man from each Chinese family must leave his family to join the army. Mulan, a teenage girl who lived in a faraway village of China, heard the news when she was outside washing clothes. So students, many years ago, China was in a difficult situation to face a great war, but there was not enough warriors to withstand the battle. So, the emperor, here the emperor means the ruler, gave an announcement that one man from each Chinese family must join the army. Mulan was a beautiful teenage girl. She lived in a faraway village of China with her father and her only little brother. She heard the news that was said by the emperor while she was washing clothes outside. Students, let me read the next paragraph. Mulan ran into the house. Her father was sitting in a chair, carving a piece of wood. Father, she said, did you hear what the emperor says each family must do? Yes, said her old father. I heard about it in town. Well, I may as well go pack up. He put down his carving, stood up, and walked very slowly to his room. Here, carving means an act of cutting a shape or pattern into wood or stone. After hearing the news, she ran into her house. By that time, her father was sitting in a chair by carving a piece of wood. She called her father and asked whether he heard the news that was said by the emperor, and her father replied yes, and he said that he already heard about it in town, and further he said, "Let me go and pack up." Then he put down his carving and stood and walked very slowly towards his room. Students, now let me read the next paragraph. "Wait," said Mulan, "Father, you have not been well, if I may say so. Why at your age must you keep up with all those young men? What else can be done?" Said her father, "Your brother is a child, he cannot go." "Of course, that's true," said Mulan. "He is too little, but I have an idea." She poured her father a cup of tea and handed it to him. "Father, have some tea. Please sit for a minute. I will be right back." Mulan stopped her father and said he had not been well, and why should he fight at this age to those young men? Then her father asked her what else could be done, and her brother was a little one, and he couldn't join the army. Then Mulan replied, "Of course, that's true," and she said that she knew her brother was a little one, and she further said that she had an idea. She poured her father a cup of tea and handed it to him and asked him to sit there for a while and have some tea, and said she will be back soon. Students, let me read the next paragraph. "Very well, dear," said the father. Mulan went into her room with her sword. She cut off her long black hair. She put on her father's robe. Going back to her father, Mulan said, "Look at me, I am your son now. I will go in your place. I will do my part for China." "No, my daughter," said the old man. "You cannot do this. Here, robe means a long, loose, outer garment reaching the ankles." And later she went into her room, and then she took her sword and cut off her long black hair, and then she put on her father's robe. Here, robe is a long, loose outer garment reaching to the ankles, and then she went outside and told her father that she was a son now, and she will go in his place, and she further said she wished to do her part for China. After listening her father hesitated and said she couldn't do that because women are not allowed to join in the army. Students, now let me read the next paragraph. "Father, listen please," said Mulan. "For years you trained me in Kung Fu, you showed me how to use a sword. Mulan swung the sword back and forth with might. Here, Kung Fu means a Chinese method of fighting that involves using your hands and feet and not using weapons. Might means great and impressive power or strength, especially of a nation, large organization, or natural force. But Mulan tried to convince her father and said, for many years he had well trained her in Kung Fu and showed her how to use a sword. And to prove that, she swung the sword back and forth with might. Here, swung is the past form of swing. Might is with power or strength. Only so that you could stay safe, said her father. I never meant for you to go to war. If they find out you are a woman, you know as well as I do that you will die. No one will find out, father, said Mulan. She picked up her sword. Mulan, said the father. He tried to get up but had to hold on to his chair. And then her father replied, he taught her Kung Fu only to stay safe and not to join in the army. And also he warned her, if they find out that she was a woman, she would die. Without listening his words, she picked her sword and gave a casual reply, as no one would find her. And then her father tried to stop her, but he couldn't get up from his chair because he had not been well. The daughter kissed him goodbye. I love you, father, she said. Take care of yourself. Tell my brother I said goodbye. She climbed on a family horse and off she went to join the emperor's army. And then Mulan kissed her father on the forehead and said, I love you, father, and asked him to take care of himself and her brother. And then, with courage and strong determination, she climbed on a family horse and went to join the emperor's army. Students, now let me read the next paragraph. In the army, Mulan proved to be a brave soldier. In time, she was put in charge of other soldiers. Her battles went so well that she was put in charge of more soldiers. Her battles kept on going well. After a few years, Mulan was given the top job. She would be general of the entire army. In the battle, Mulan proved to be a brave soldier. Very soon, she was put in charge of other soldiers, and her battles went on so well, and soon she was put in charge of many soldiers. After a few years, Mulan was given the top position as the general of the entire army. Not long after that, a very bad fever swept through the army. Many soldiers were sick, and Mulan, the general of the army, became sick too. When the doctor came out of Mulan's tent, he knew the truth. Then what happened? Long after that, a very bad fever swept through the army. Many soldiers have become sick. Mulan, the general of the army too, became very sick. When the doctor came out of Mulan's tent, he knew the truth that she was a woman. The general is a woman? Yelled the soldiers. How can this be? Some called out, she tricked us, and we will not fight for a woman. They said, punish her, make her pay. The cost is for her to die. But others called out in voices just as loud, with Mulan, we win every battle. They said, stay away from our general. And later the doctor passed this message to the soldiers that Mulan was a woman. And then the soldiers yelled, the general was a woman? How could this be? And some soldiers screamed that she had cheated them and they will not fight for a woman, and said that she had to be punished. That is, the cost of her trick was her death. But some soldiers called out loudly and said, with Mulan, they had won every battle, and commanded the other soldiers to stay away from their general. Just then a soldier ran up. Everyone, he called, a surprise attack is coming. Mulan heard this from inside her tent. She got dressed and went outside. She was not yet strong, but stood tall. She told the soldiers where they must go to hide, so they could attack when the enemy came, but they must get there fast. The soldiers, even those who did not like that their general was a woman, could tell that Mulan knew what she was talking about. Just then a soldier ran up and called, everyone listen please, a surprise attack was coming. Mulan heard this from inside her tent, and soon she got dressed up and came outside. She was not yet strong, but stood brave, and she commanded the soldiers where they must go and hide, so that it will be easy for them to attack when the enemies come. And then the soldiers who did not like their general as a woman understood the situation and tried to obey her. It worked. The battle was won. It was such a big victory that the enemy gave up at last. The war was over and China was saved. You can be sure that after that last battle, no one cared anymore that Mulan was a woman. The emperor was so glad that Mulan had ended the long war. He set aside the rule about being a woman. Mulan, stay with me in the palace, he said. Someone as smart as you would be a fine royal advisor. It worked out well, and at last the battle was won. It was such a big victory that the enemy gave up at last. The war was over and China was saved, and after that last battle, no one cared that Mulan was a woman, and then the emperor was so glad that Mulan had ended such a long war, and then he kept aside his rule and didn't bother that she was a woman. And then the emperor requested her to stay with him in the palace, so that as smart as her would be a fine royal advisor to him. Here Advisor is one who gives an opinion or suggestion. Mulan bowed deeply. You are too kind, sire, she said, but if you please, what I wish most of all is to return home to my family. Then at least take these fine gifts, said the emperor, so everyone at your home and village will know how much the emperor of China thinks of you. Mulan returned to her village with 6 fine horses and 6 fine swords. Everyone cheered that she was safe. The person who had saved China was their very own Mulan. Here, bowed means bending the body forwards from the west, especially to show respect for someone. But Mulan bowed deeply and said, You are too kind, sire. Here, sire is used to address the king or lord. And then she requested him to allow her to return her village, and that is what she wished above all these positions. And then the emperor asked her to take at least those fine gifts given by him, so that everyone at her village and family would understand how much importance the emperor of China gave her. And at last, Mulan returned her village happily with 6 fine swords and 6 fine horses. Everyone at her village cheered that she was safe, and at last the person who had saved China was their own Mulan. Students, now let's see the gist of the lesson. The story is about Mulan, a teenage girl who saved China. Many years ago, China was in the middle of a great war. Mulan, a teenage girl who lived in a faraway village of China. Her father had taught her to use a sword and ride a horse. One day the war came. The emperor ordered that each family in the village had to send one man to strengthen the army. In Mulan's family, the man chosen to go was her father. He was too old to fight. Mulan had no older brother, but her younger brother was too young to be elected. Mulan thought to herself. An idea grew in her mind. Mulan knew her father would die if he went to war again. The next morning, Mulan cut off long hair and disguised as a man. Here, disguised means to change the usual appearance. Her father refused her to go army because if they find out she was a woman, she knew she would die. But she picked up her sword and climbed on a family horse. She went to join the emperor's army. In the army, she proved to be a brave soldier. Her battles went so well. In time, here in time means in the end or finally, she was put in charge of more soldiers. After a few years, she was appointed as the general of the entire army. In all that time, no one knew she was not a man. A very bad fever spread through the army. Everyone fell sick. Mulan was also affected by this fever. When the doctor examined her, everyone came to know that she was a woman. The soldiers became angry and shouted that she should be punished. Just then, a soldier ran up and told a surprise attack was coming. With a good plan, Mulan attacked the enemy and won the battle. When she saved China, everyone cheered her. The emperor was glad and gifted her with 6 fine horses and 6 swords. So finally, Mulan returned to her village with her fine gifts. Students, I hope you would have enjoyed the story. Read the entire lesson once and read the hard words. Thank you, students. We will meet in the next class.